Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to the Farm2Table Show Morning Edition, where faith, food, and freedom meet at the crossroads of common sense. I'm Ryan. I'm going to get my coffee. My boots are on, and today we're diving into one of the oldest debates in rural living, a tale as old as the split rail fence, or should I say, the broken split rail fence. That's right, today we're tackling the question, whose responsibility is it really to keep animals where they belong? Is it your job to keep your cows in, or your neighbor's job to keep your garden goat free? Now, if you've ever lived out in the country, I don't have to tell you, this is not just a hypothetical debate. This is real. This is the kind of thing that makes neighbors squint across property lines, whisper over fence posts, and sometimes call the sheriff. So let's walk through this from the legal, the ethical, the biblical, and yes, the neighborly side of things. Because on the homestead, boundaries matter. And today, we're going to talk about why. So let me start with a story, you might say, a tale of two fences, so to speak. Back when Frank was just starting out on his little patch of land, he had three goats, Socks, Boots, and Cinnamon. Oh, so cute. They were charming, mischievous, and as it turns out, like most goats, professional escape artists. Frank built what he thought was a respectable fence, and for a while it did hold. But one morning, Frank got a text from his neighbor. Just a picture, no words. The picture? Cinnamon standing on top of his neighbor's brand new car. Hmm. That picture taught Frank something. Your animals are always your responsibility, even when they're acting like park hour champions. Okay? I mean, I can see the goat on the car, probably dancing too. Anyway, but it raises a bigger question. If you own your land, what do you really own? Is it the soil under your feet, the grass, peace and quiet? Or is it also the right to expect not to be invaded by someone else's livestock? Let's break this down a little further. Fence in versus fence out. Now, in most of America, we operate under what's called a fence in system. That means if you own animals, most especially livestock, it's your job to keep them contained. If they get loose and wander into someone's garden, damage their property, or get hit on the road, well, you're the one that's on the hook for that. There are some exceptions now. In certain open range states, particularly in the West, Nevada, Montana, parts of Texas, places like that, the tradition is a bit reversed. It's fence out system. That means unless an area has been legally closed to open range, it's the landowner's job to build a fence if they don't want cattle coming through. Well, I can see where this dispute might be. Now, in modern times, even those states have limits. Roads and highways are usually considered no goes for the wandering cow, and local ordinances often trump old open range laws, especially as rural areas grow and suburban neighborhoods start butting up against old ranch land, and it's happening more and more every day. But here's the bottom line. Whether the law says fence in or fence out, it ends up in fence out, let me tell you. Most of us live by common courtesy and mutual respect. Or at least we should. Now, let's look at this ethically. Let's just say, for hypothetical purposes, that the law is vague in your area. Let's say there's no clear ordinance about who's responsible. Well, then what? Here's where we talk about ethics. Ethically, one would say if you own the animal, you're responsible for that animal's behavior, even if it's just like with your kids. And that's just good stewardship. The same way you wouldn't want your dog biting someone or your chicken scratching up your neighbor's flower beds, you don't want your cows trampling someone's freshly planted corn. Makes sense. Even in a fence out area, it's still your responsibility to make a good faith effort to know your boundaries, build proper fencing, and check on it regularly. And I think that's what most do. Here's the truth, and this is something we need to understand. Animals don't understand property lines. As a general rule, that's true. They go where the grass is greener. It's not really their fault, but it is your job to plan accordingly, as much as it is mine. I'm not fully fenced, so there's no animals outside of the dog who will not leave the yard. So let's get biblical for a minute. You know, we like to bring scriptures into our conversations here on the Farm to Table Show. So let's just see what the good book says. In Exodus 22 and 5, that's over in the Old Testament, folks. If a man causes a field or a vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose, and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best of his own field and in his own vineyard. Pretty crystal clear right there. In other words, if your animal causes damage to someone else's land, you owe them, and not just the leftovers, folks, the best from your field. This shows that responsibility lies with the owner, and the restitution isn't optional. It's just a matter of justice. Boundaries, both literal and figuratively, are everywhere in Scripture. Proverbs 22:28 says, "Do not move the ancient boundary which your fathers have set." Boundaries protect relationships. They give clarity. They prevent chaos. And when we violate them intentionally or through neglect, well, there's usually a cost. Now, let's turn into some real life. Let's look at some neighborly wisdom, you might say. Real life stories on the homestead. Let's talk about the escaped pig. Story number 1 here. A family over in Tennessee had pigs get loose 3 times in 1 month. The 3rd time, they tore up a neighbor's entire pumpkin patch, just weeks before harvest. That's not good. Tempers flared. But here's what the pig owner did right. He took full responsibility. He apologized face to face, and he offered cash restitution and also brought over fresh pork after butchering season. Not only did the neighbors make peace, they now have a pig roast during pumpkin harvest every year. That's country living at its best. Now, on the flip side here, we had a barbed wire battle. A contrast to neighborly feud in Oklahoma started when one family's cattle kept busting through an old shared fence. Instead of talking it out, the one neighbor installed electric wire without warning. The cows got shocked, the kids got shocked, and it turned ugly. Legal action followed. Thousands of dollars were spent. The relationship still broken. The lesson: don't let fence posts become battle lines. Communication is always better than escalation, and that applies across a lot of things. Now, let's look at some practical homestead fencing tips. And for all our new homesteaders listening in or somebody that's thinking about it, here's some practical ways to keep peace and keep your animals where they don't belong, or where they do belong. Depends on whose side of the fence they're on, I guess. Use appropriate fencing for the species. Okay? Know your animals. Goats need different fencing than pigs or cows. Goats need different fencing than about everything. Okay? Chickens need a special kind of fence as well. Inspect your fence regularly, after storms especially. Or if animal pressure, you kind of notice they're pushing, or a tree falls or something. Fencing is a nonstop, constant check. And we know, those of us who've had animals or dealt with animals, we know that. Know your boundaries. Okay, literally know your boundaries. Get a proper survey done if you're unsure. Okay, that was one of those things that came with my property, was a survey. Me and the neighbors have talked about the fence lines and where they're at and the markers. We're in agreement and we're in understanding with each other. Okay, and that's what that next step is: talk to your neighbors. Okay, especially before building new fences or changing old ones. Okay? Set up perimeter alerts. Simple trail cams or motion sensors can save you a world of headache. I would agree with that one because it does allow you to see what happened. Be quick to own up to things when they go wrong. This is a lesson in life, by the way. Be quick to own up when things go wrong. The fastest way to diffuse a neighbor's anger is to say, "I'm sorry. Let me make it right." Kind word turns away wrath. Yeah. Anyway, so there's some practical tips. Now, before we wrap, here's a question kind of related. What if it's not my livestock, but maybe a wild deer that eats my garden? Whose responsibility is that? It's a good question. Wild animals? Well, they're a different category altogether because no one owns them. Okay? So it falls on the property owner to take preventative action. Fencing, repellents, or even some good old DNR approved solutions in extreme cases. Depending on whether it's predator type or if it's just causing some damage, you can reroute. Okay. But again, knowledge is key. Know the difference between wildlife and stray domestic animals. Those run around too, and I know that especially where I live. And if you're ever unsure, document it, communicate, and act with integrity. Okay. let people know, find out who, if it's somebody's dog or somebody's wild animal, whatever, find out what's going on before you react extremely. Okay. So, with some closing thoughts here, where does that leave us? It leaves us with a simple truth. Stewardship means responsibility. If you've been blessed with land, steward it well. If you've been blessed with animals, care for them well. And if you've been blessed with neighbors, live at peace with them as far as it depends on you. Okay? And here on the Farm to Table Show, we believe in building fences, not to divide, but to define, not to isolate, but to protect what matters. Okay? My neighbors are good neighbors. Any fencing I have is not to keep them on their side or whatever. It's to keep whatever I've got on my side, and just clear marker. The old adage, good fences make good neighbors. All right. Okay. So when fences break, and they will, grace and honest work can always rebuild them. And that's fact. And I'm just simply reminding you to love your neighbor, fix your fence, and check on your goats because they're probably not where you left them. And remember, faith, food, and freedom, they all start at home. Hope you enjoyed that section. Hope you enjoyed that conversation about fence. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of that stewardship all week this week. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that about fencing, and good fences make good neighbors, as they say, and whose responsibility it is to take care of those animals and make sure they stay in. That's my belief. If you own them, you need to look after them. But anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry to say, folks, it is Memorex Ryan today. I wish I was there with you live. Maybe I'll be able to see what's happening from afar. But anyway, had to be into work early. It's just the nature of it. So, y'all get Memorex Ryan. So this was laid down and recorded. So unfortunately, that means that I have no, let's see. Let me look at this. Let me back it around. Let me get the weather over here because that means I have no redneck weather report. And I'm going to give you the weather where I'm at. Tomorrow, low of 47, high of 73, and sunny. There's no chance of precipitation. Monday's low 47, high 73. Temperature range will feel like 45 to 74, so it will feel a little warmer. All right. Anyway, so that's tomorrow's weather where I'm at. Hope you all are blessed with sunny weather and dry. Chance to dry things out. I was able to get out Saturday. I had some automotive repair to do in the garage. Be one of the vehicles. Got that done, and had to got on the tractor and knocked down some tall grass because that rain's got me from being able to mow or do anything, and it was pretty high. So we got that knocked down, and then got the mower after it today, and some yesterday, and then today. So I've got it 90% contained, you might say. So I was able to get that done this weekend and did some upgrades on my pad and the area where I parked my travel trailer. We're taking it up to 10 killer for the meetup, and I wanted to do some work before I put it back on the pad. I had some before I've been able to get on the pad and off the pad better and better stability for the trailer when it's sitting there. So I was able to get that done. So I had a pretty productive weekend and capped it off with going to what we call Man Church. It's a group of different churches and organizations and stuff. It's headed up by one organization, but we have men groups all over around down here throughout the week. And ever so often we'll gather up in a place, one church or another, on a Sunday night or a Tuesday night or whatever, and have food and fellowship with one another, and have a little bit of praise and worship, and then get into the Word. And so anyway, that was last night. That was the end of the week, and cap that off. And so it was a good weekend, and hopefully we'll get a few more of those in behind us, get some work done, get caught up on things. But anyway, so that's what's going on in Ryan's world. Just had a granddaughter up over the weekend, got to see some of the grandkids, and that's a good time. Just overall a fairly good weekend. Got a lot done, and I like that. And the weather was great. So I hope that worked out well for you all too. Prayers of out to several of the people I did catch up on last night. Found out several people, medical needs and family distresses and stuff. So prayers out to all those that are in the chat that are going through some things or got some stuff going on. Robbie and Scotty and Jack, and, Rebecca Touch My Yarn, let's see, who else? I know I shouldn't start naming names. I'll forget somebody. All my morning crew, all my regulars that usually are in there. Hope you're all in this morning. Sorry I'm not going to be there to chat it up with you live, but we'll pick it back up as soon as possible. And just appreciate all y'all's support. Appreciate you being here all the time. Let's get on into a homestead hack. Now, I'm not, this is one I have to let, I've never tried. So y'all let me know. Leave it in the old comments, bloop, 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 down at the bottom. Anyway, this hack, using baking soda to sweeten tomatoes. Now the hack, bigger, sweeter tomato harvest. I like the sound of that. Here's how it works. Sprinkle a tablespoon of baking soda around the base of your tomato plants. It reduces soil acidity, helping tomatoes taste sweeter. Pro tip, don't overdo it. Don't get carried away because too much can stunt the growth of the tomatoes and stuff in the plant. So just a little dab will do you, a tablespoon. Okay, just sprinkle it around the base and leave it be. It'll take care of itself. So there you go. There's your homestead hack. And I'm going to pass on another one. I'm going to try this one. This was given to me by Dwayne Hall. I reached out to Dwayne. He's with Red Feather Farms, Oklahoma, Red Feather Farms. Anyway, I reached out to Dwayne because I got a tick problem, and I think it's with all the rain and just the time of year and everything, grass high. But I think it's pretty bad at tick. I've lost track of the ticks and Lone Star ticks and just regular ticks. I've lost track. Anyway, getting the grass mowed down, everything, I need to get the yard treated. Well, I didn't want the old chemicals. I didn't want the stuff that comes with it. Some of these harsh chemicals that are unsafe for the dogs and the outdoor cats, unsafe for my grandchildren to be around, unsafe for me to be around, my dog, all that stuff. And honestly, it's not good for things, but all the chemicals out there. So I reached out to Dwayne for a good idea of something that could help repel ticks, or get them out of the yard. It was more natural. And lo and behold, he had an answer. Count on Dwayne. Anyway, he told me to get pelletized sulfur. So get sulfur pellets. Right, put it in the spreader. Turn that thing down a little bit low spread. Don't get carried away. Just, put it on a low setting and spread that across the yard. Now, apparently, of course, sulfur, for those who know, sulfur kind of stinks. A little rotten egg smell. But anyway, you put that across the yard, especially if you know it's going to rain. Anyway, you get out and you put that around your yard. Now, it don't smell real pretty, and that's why it works. Here's what it does. Apparently, what he told me, it runs off the ticks and the fleas and the chiggers and the mosquitoes and snakes and just about anything else with a nose, apparently. But anyway, it's supposed to work. And I found out later, it's also good for the soil. Helps with the pH levels and stuff in the soil. So it's a win-win. Get rid of the ticks and the pests, help your soil. So I'm going to be trying that one out because I want to try to do something that's healthier, and doesn't put my animal, my dog, my cats, my grandkids, and everybody at risk. So we're going to be trying that one. I will let you know how that works out. Just got to find some because apparently it's out there, but it's just not on everyday shelf. Anyway, so I'll let you know about that one. So that might be another good hack. But anyway, so let's move on to the tip or quote of the day. And I ain't having any tips. I'm giving a ton of tips. I'm just going to stick with the quote of the day. Don't ever take down a fence until you know why it was put up. Don't ever take a fence down until you know why it was put up. That was by our friend Robert Frost. Good wisdom in that, because there might be a bull on the other side of that fence that has something to say about it. So don't take down a fence until you know why it was put up. Just a thought there. Anyway, let's see. Let's get into what's coming up. Let's get into what's going on out there in the homestead community. Coming up real soon, May 16th through the 18th. Mid-America YouTube Meetup. Now, it's at Lake Eufaula State Park at the Deep Fork Campground Pavilion. MT Homestead is the host. You can reach them at mthomesteadok@gmail.com. Of course, you can also go onto the old Facebook and put in Mid-America YouTube Meetup, and that'll come up. You can find out information there. They've got the whole schedule out and everything. Looking forward to it. Looks probably going to be a good event. I know Jesse and Lisa from Lazy Days Ahead has been talking about it quite a bit and a lot of conversation. I don't think I'm going to make that one as much as I'd like to. I think other obligations are going to keep me tied up. But that's okay. Get on out there, all your YouTubers out there, meet them up. That'll be a good one. Now, that same weekend, for those that might be up in the Kansas area, 5th Annual Shed Farm Homestead Festival, May 17th, Garland, Kansas. That's more of a hometown, down to earth. They've been doing it 5 years, obviously, 5th Annual. And it's trading, it's swapping, it's teaching, they even got compost you can get there. It's a little bit of everything. So, looks like that'll be a good one. Now, coming up in June, busy month of June, the Homestead Festival, Hardison Mills near Columbia, Tennessee, June 6th and 7th. That's at Roy Feek's place. That's a big, huge event. 10 vendors, speakers, presenters, music festival. It's just a little bit of everything. So that's a good one to get if you're over there. You can make it into central Tennessee and, around the south of the Nashville area. And I bet that's going to be a good one there. Now, up in the northwest, is Modern Homesteading Conference in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, June 27th through the 28th. You can find out more information on Facebook or at modernhomesteading.com. Got a good lined up for that, set up for that one. A lot of the people from School of Traditional Skills and the Salatons, and just the list goes on and on. Anyway, going to take a little break during the heat of the year. July and August gets a little hot. But anyway, starting out September 5th and 6th, the Ozarks Homesteading Expo. That's in Marshfield, Missouri. That's the 6th year coming up on this one, and it has got a phenomenal lineup, and it is going to be a great weekend. Looking forward to being there, kicking off the fall run of events. But anyway, looking forward to that one. That's going to be a good one. Put that on your calendar. And, of course, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, September 26th and 27th at the Southeast Expo Center in McAlester, Oklahoma. That one is shaping up to be phenomenal. Last year was really good. First year, it's getting bigger. It's getting better. Sponsors have gotten on board. Speaker presenters are growing. There's still room for vendors, but man, we got a lot of vendors. It's going to be, I've heard more and more people saying they weren't there last year, but they're going to be this year. So get that one on your calendar. It's going to be a great event. Keith and I will be there. He will have, in fact, right before Ozarks. So right there at the end of August, he'll be back in the country, and we'll drag his jet lag tail in around the around the area. But anyway, we'll be speaking and presenting, and also have our set, our set up there, and be conducting the shows there at the rendezvous. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a good time. We will also be set up at Ozarks Homesteading Expo as well. Didn't make it on the speaker list there. Didn't get around to doing that in time, and I'm still working on growing, so that's not time for that. But anyway, we will be set up there doing the show and doing interviews and etc. from Ozarks as well. So two times in the month of September, we'll be out live on location. And then October 10th and 11th, Homesteaders of America Conference, Front Royal, Virginia, the granddaddy of them all. Amy Fuel and Company with HOA puts on a great conference, and the speaker lineup is second to none. Like I said, my boy Nick Freitas, John Lovell with Warrior Poet Society. You got Salatons, you got the Doughertys, you've got Aniceto Scotch, you've got, the list goes on and on. There's so many, I couldn't even list them all. But again, phenomenal list up there. So that's what's coming up as far as big events. I know there's some smaller stuff going on in different places and around the country, and some stuff. There's always stuff that we just don't know about. And so anyway, that's what's going on. And get out there and find these festivals, find these local things. I know around here we're just some have already, I think, maybe started, but we're just a few short weeks away from farmers markets beginning to kick off and that whole season. So looking forward to that. And so maybe try to get out and start getting some fresh stuff there. Anyway, that's what's been going on. I hope you all have enjoyed the show so far this morning, because, well, it's time to wrap it up, because that is a wrap for today on the Farm to Table Show Morning Edition. Thanks for joining us as we strive towards building stronger communities for now and in the future. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that like button. Give me the old thumbs up. Okay, share it with your friends. Share. Tell them all about it. And subscribe to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is the best way to stay connected and help grow the conversation about food, farming, and community. be looking for them shorts that I've been putting out. I'll be trying to put one out every day of the week, usually on a farm or out somewhere, depending on what's going on. Keep an eye out. Appreciate all the support and all the views and all the comments and everything on them. Trying to help get this channel grown back up and get back on track. And without y'all, we can't do it. So anyway, thanks for that. Until next time, keep your roots deep, your vision growing. Good food starts with great people, just like you. And remember, we are #stronger together, #think outside the big box store, shop local. Anyway, be a blessing to someone today, even if it's just a smile. Anything you can do to be a blessing to someone. You'll make somebody's day brighter and you'll even feel good too. Anyway, we will see you all on the other side, and I'm going to hand this over to Hank to take us on out of here. So take it away, Hank.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.